I'm Justin Mott. Welcome to my home in Hanoi, Vietnam. And the first thing you're gonna notice today is, wait, where is he filming? I'm filming today in my home office rather than downstairs in my living room / dining room, just to give a different backdrop, just to try something unique. I'm also filming on a different camera today. I'm back to the GoPro because my other cameras are out right now on a shoot with my team, so they're out shooting right now, so I don't have my Sonys. I've got my GoPro filming today, but I hope the quality is still good. But yeah, normally I'll be filming with my mirrorless camera, and I'll be filming downstairs. This is just to try a different backdrop just for when it's too hot down there to film or it's too loud if my dog's going nuts. Today I'm in a silly mood, so I'm gonna go back through an old blog that I wrote a long time ago, kind of making fun of people and their bio pictures, well, photographers and their bio pictures, the ridiculous bio pictures each photographer does for each genre. I've been guilty of a lot of these, so don't take offense. This is not meant to be serious. I'm gonna poke fun at all you guys. I'm gonna poke fun at myself. This is just meant to have fun, so stay tuned to see how you can get the ultimate bio photographer picture for you. All right, so let's just dive right into this today. I'm gonna go through different genres of photography. I'm gonna tell you the kind of bio picture that I see. I'm gonna interpret what you should be doing, how to pose. I'm gonna talk you through this, guys, so don't worry. I know you're stressed out, but really, today I will give you the ultimate bio picture to suit the genre of photography that you're in, or multiple genres, if that's what you do. For each of these, I'll give you the mainstream look you need to go for. I'll also give you a second backup option just in case you want to be slightly different. And I'm also going to tell you the mood that you should be channeling, your inner actor, what you're trying to look for, what you're trying to say. I will guide you through it, so don't worry. So today we'll start with the documentary photographer or the personal project photographer. This one is black and white, has to be non-negotiable, and you can never be looking into the camera, ever. That's also not negotiable. You should be maybe looking off to the side somewhere in deep thought, looking out the window, some nice beautiful side light. So think moody black and white shot, grainy, oh, that's very helpful. Go-to for this has to be black and white, gritty, high contrast, or maybe even just like way overexposed or way underexposed, looking out the window in deep thought. And your backup to this, if you don't want to do this, or if you just want to try something different, is the shot of maybe you at your exhibition showing your personal work or your documentary work. You need to be like kind of pointing to something or in deep thought while other people are gathered around listening to you. That's really important to have that shot. That's a nice backup. You could hire like someone else to do the shot for you just while you should have a camera, not around your neck, sort of around your shoulder, just in case like something happens for your project and you need to break out and start shooting. But it's really just there as a prop. Something like a Leica is really highly advised, or a vintage film camera, something along those lines. The mood in your picture, what you need to be saying is that, that your personal work is more important to you than anything else, even though when you introduce your project, 90% of what you talk about will be about yourself and not about your actual project. I always get a kick out of that when I see these people do these big introductions and they talk like they're doing a very deep story. I'm not going to give examples because then someone will know. Their whole talk will be really about them when they introduce their project at their exhibition, and then there'll be like a small part about the people that they photograph, which is absolutely ridiculous. But so that's what you're channeling. You need to channel that. Listen, you don't care about money. You just care about the project. You don't care about awards. You don't care about any of that stuff. You just care about your work. You care about the story, and that's it. So if you do this picture correctly, then that will say all those things. So if you need a reference of what this should look like, you should just go to Magnum. Like they'll have all the Magnum photographers will have something along these lines. I guarantee it. I haven't been to their site in a long time, but I guarantee all of them have that sort of shot that I'm talking about. So the next shot's going to be the commercial photographer, the successful advertising photographer, whatever you want to call it. So this one needs to be, in order to really execute this, you've got a couple options, but your main one should be you on some sort of set, a lot of lights, a lot of gear, a lot of assistants, clients, like someone holding an iPad, another computer tethered over here. You've got like an awesome medium format camera. You're pointing, you're looking, you're directing. And you're not going to show success unless you have all these things in the shot. You need to have all these things going on. You need as many lights as possible. Maybe even just hire a bunch of lights if you don't have this shot already. If one of your assistants didn't take it, hire extras, whatever it takes. You just lights everywhere, like grippy things everywhere, attaching stuff, scaffolding, reflectors, many reflectors as you can fit in there. And then, yeah, you're just like, you're in charge, you're directing. You need to be right at the center, pointing at something along those lines. The second option for this one is lights aside, it's you in a studio, but like a really like crazy amount of retouching done to you. It can be something kind of fun, but you're showcasing your retouching skills because again, you are an advertising photographer. You can do these things. So it could be something playful and fun. It could just be something really, really nicely retouched, like headshot of you looking right dead barrel at the camera and just success. You need to channel success, money, that kind of stuff. This one's kind of unique because there's actually 3 options. So if you didn't like doing the one with all the assistants and all the gear of you on set, on location somewhere at your studio, and if you didn't want to do the one like the just sort of straight on, really finely retouched headshot, don't worry, there's still a 3rd option here. The other option is you with all your gear at the airport, like tons of gear, tons of bags. For me, I like think tank, so think tank bags, just like climbing out of it, like maybe just your head or the top shot looking down of all the gear before you go on the shoot. That one will work. I mean, these are all kind of within the same category. So just think of all your gear spread out. You could be lying in the middle of it like, well, hey, look at me, look at all this gear. I don't know. So that's the 3rd option that you could do. So the next one is the portrait photographer. This one's a little bit tricky as well because you have the portrait photographer for the studio and lighting, and then you have sort of the natural light or the environmental portrait photographer. But the first thing you want to do for the portrait photographer, this one's going to blow your mind, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but trust me, it works. Again, get ready. So for this one, you're going to have a portrait of you looking right into the camera, and your lighting gear is actually going to be in the shot. I know, crazy, right? Because you normally don't show the lighting gear in your shots. Normally, it's just you or the picture or the person you're photographing. You show that, but this one. Listen, this is going to show what you do. So it's kind of like you've got like your arms on the, like maybe on a light stand or like just holding on to the softbox, which is also lighting you. Maybe there's another light that was the key light, but this light's on, it's pointing at you, and you're just like, yeah, this is what I do. Not only do I take pictures with this camera, I also use this giant light. So you're going to be a little bit confused in the beginning. Like you might not trust me on this because how can you have the lighting in the shot, or maybe even the backdrop in the shot if you. Like that's absolutely crazy, but if you really want to try something nuts, if you're ready for that at this point in your career, go for it. So you can have the lighting gear, light stands, and then maybe even a backdrop in the shot, like you see the edges of it. It's insane, but trust me, it'll work out for you. Okay, the next one is the successful travel photographer. This one you have to be in a remote village somewhere in a different country than where you're from, and you have to be surrounded by people that are not the same ethnicity as you. It sounds crazy, but you just have to be surrounded by, children in different traditional costumes running around like crazy, and you're in the middle of smiling. You need to show that you're going to these remote places and like you're the only foreigner who's ever been there. It's not true, but you need to create that illusion, that person they've ever seen, or you're the first person from America they've ever seen. So again, if you go into like a remote village in Laos, make sure, even if you went with a bunch of other foreigners, make sure they're not in the picture. It will totally ruin it. Another thing you can do for the travel photographer is you could do the gear shot with all the gear laid out, but this other one, trust me, this will really nail it with all the local people around you, and you're just like, you're either photographing them or, for a pose, you're either photographing them or they're looking at like, hey, look at the picture I took. We've never seen a camera before. That's another way. Like that's how remote this place is. They've never even seen a camera before. So another thing you can do is have for the travel shot is anything with you. Nowadays you could just you've got the drone. You're piloting the drone. Like the drone doesn't even have to be in the shot, but it's like you've got the controller and you're in like a really cool backdrop at the edge of a cliff. You don't actually even need to fly the drone or even know how to fly the drone. Just have some sort of controller in your hands so it looks like you're flying a drone. So those are a couple options for the successful travel photographer. Oh, there is a third option. And listen, I'm not saying everyone can pull this off. You need a good 5 to 10 years experience to pull this off. But in the middle of nowhere where people dress up in these very traditional costumes, very bright colors, or their faces are painted or something like that, but you're wearing those clothes. You're actually wearing the outfit, so you're actually wearing the local outfit, so it just shows like how well you blend in with people and how adventurous you are, and also kind of how much fun you can be as a travel photographer. So that's a third option. Again, not everyone is ready to do this. Maybe work your way into it a little bit. Start with the picture, showing the kids the camera, and then a few years later when you feel comfortable, then put on the local outfit and get that shot. But just take your time. I don't want anyone to get hurt. I'm feeling a little bit generous today, and I'm gonna even give a fourth one on the travel photographer. Another travel photographer one you can get away with too. It's a little bit hard to pull off, is you with some sort of interesting mode of transportation behind you. Think seaplane, helicopter. Helicopter's big. Seaplane or helicopter, neck and neck, but either one of those, amazing. You in the helicopter, I mean, that would require actually going on a shoot with a helicopter, but if you actually do that stuff, which probably most people don't, but get a shot of you in the helicopter, and that just beats everything else, a helicopter shot. But other modes of transportation, even just getting off the plane, I mean, that's level one. As you work your way up, helicopter, seaplane, things like that, crazy exotic boat in the background, some sort of mode of transportation that's quite exotic, and you've nailed it. So the next one is the fine art photographer. Now for this one, you're not even in the picture. You're out. It's not even you. You're out. I don't even know if I'm out of frame here. Your bio picture is not of you. Get this, it's a picture of your actual work. Let that seep in. You're out, picture of your work in it. You're a fine art photographer. Your work, it's not about you, it's about the work. So, rule number one, you're out. You're not even in the shot. Picture of your work, picture of your latest piece, picture of your gallery. If you really have to put you in the shot, which I really don't recommend to do that, just don't. Actually, forget it. I forget I even said that. It has to be, the fine art photographer, it has to be a picture of your work. So that's it. Don't even think about putting yourself in the shot. And what you want to channel is, you don't care about money or fame or anything like that. It's not about you, it's about the work. Similar to the documentary photographer, personal project photographer. I mean, you do obviously care about money and fame, but you need to channel that you don't care about money and fame. It's about your work. It's about depth to your work. You need to show depth. You're so deep, you're not even in the picture. That's actually it. That's the reason why. It just came to me. I just thought of it. So fine art photographer, you're not in the shot, picture of work, done. Okay, let's move on to wedding photographer. This one, industry standard for wedding photographer is you with all your gear. You're sweaty at the end of the night, couple around the arm. Bride, groom, right here. You're just right in the middle, like, we had fun. I shot this wedding, look how hard I worked. So that's the industry standard. Alternate version to this one is a picture of you on your wedding day if you're married. If you're not, just set it up and just fake it. Find someone, put a suit on, find a dress or a suit, put that on, fake it, because you need a picture of you being married, because then the couple will know, okay, he's married, he understands wedding photography because he got married. So it's an easy read. You just need to have it. So again, if you're not married, don't worry about it. Just set it up, get a shot of you, wedding dress, suit, whatever it is, and then the couple will trust you, because how can you photograph a wedding if you didn't get married yourself, right? Obviously. Okay, now let's go for the nature photographer. This one, standard is you must have a ridiculous backdrop behind you. You must have a tripod in the shot. Like, if you don't have a beautiful backdrop, waterfall, rainbows, mountains, lakes, stuff like that, or all of them is ideal, like mega background. So you could have mountains, waterfalls, rainbows, and a lake or the ocean in the background, or fields. Violet fields are huge. Have to have that. You must have a tripod. If you have one right now and you have all those things but no tripod, you've got to delete it. And you have to go out and get another shot. You have to get a shot with your tripod. You can either be just standing on the tripod with that backdrop, like, look at that, or you're framed up from behind. It's tough for me because I'm bald, so you see the bald spot in the back, but if you've got a good head of hair from behind and you're there. If you've got some sort of filter on the front, like a giant oversized filter that you don't even need, just put that on it, like a glass, like a polarizing filter, something like that. Ideal, like a matte box. Like the bigger the camera can be this big, but you just need, even if you don't use it at all, again, just put it on all the accessories. And you could even be shooting off that way. You know what? Here's another one. You're doing all that, your camera's shooting that way, but it's a long exposure. So you're just like looking back at the camera like, hey, look, I'm doing like a 10-minute exposure here. That's what I do. What do you do? Version to this one for the nature photographer is sort of the nature/wildlife. I'll put that in nature, wildlife, and landscape. I'm gonna group you guys all together. I'm really sorry about that. You can really yell at me later on. Birders, bird photography, I'm gonna group you guys in there too. So the alternate version of the backdrop is you with like a ridiculously long lens. If you don't shoot with it, that's fine. Again, just rent these things. Just rent the longest lens you can have, or just get a guy to Photoshop it in. But the longer the lens, the better nature photographer you are, obviously. So just get like a ridiculously long lens. Your lens should need a tripod. If your lens doesn't have its own tripod, you have failed. And you with the lens, giant tripod on the lens, and a tripod itself for the camera. So double tripod. Some sort of, if you shoot wildlife, some sort of animal in the background is a must. Like the more exotic the animal in the background, the better photographer you are automatically. The thing I should add is accessories for this. So the scarf was for documentary photographers. I should have added more accessories for this stuff, but now I'm thinking of it, and I made that mistake. But an accessory like some sort of exotic nature hat, like this would be ideal. Something that you're in the sun all day because you're a nature photography landscape. So something with flaps, the more brim, the better. So you need that action going on. And this hat in particular goes well because this is kind of different. This goes well with like the documentary photographer or the personal project photographer. That's my look. The extreme sports guy, you could just kind of have that or the hat on backwards, like the very American. I'm an American photographer. I am an American photographer, but you could do this option. But I'm gonna go back to my photographer living overseas hat. All right, let's move on to the aerial photographer or the drone photographer these days. So this one before used to have a helicopter, not anymore. Now you just need you with the drone. So you're holding the drone like about to fly, or you're just holding it, looking right down the barrel of the camera. Like bigger the drone, the better. Even if you use like a Mavic, normally just rent like a gigantic drone to get these shots. A lot of these shots you're gonna not actually do these things in real life, so you're gonna have to rent stuff. But it's a one-time thing. You'll have that bio picture for the rest of your life. So gigantic drone, an assistant holding it is better because you don't even bother with that stuff. That's how good you are. You've got the controller, or even two of you with a controller. Oh my God, that's like amazing. The alternate version to this shot is the drone taking a picture of you. Yeah. So you're somewhere that only a drone could get a picture, so it has to be like up. It needs to read that the drone took a picture of you. It wasn't with like a really tall photographer. So you're like looking up, or you're like lying down with a cool backdrop in a field or something like that. Two options are either the drone's in the picture or the drone took the picture of you. Anything outside of that, you have failed miserably. Okay, let's move on to the street photographer bio picture. Street photographer bio picture, black and white preferred, but it could be color, that's fine. It needs to be taken by someone else in a street photography fashion. So you're just like a little motion blur could be cool, or like someone shot from the hip. So you're just walking around, you've got to have a camera in your hand. One camera, small camera, one lens, like a wide lens, like a 24, maybe a 35. And it should be, like that camera has to be small, like a little Ricoh, again, a Leica's good. Vintage film camera, yes, yes, yes. Giant camera and a backpack with a tripod, forget it. You are out. If you've got that shot right now, delete it. You are not reading street photographers, so no backpack. You can have like a cool little Billingham or a little satchel or something like that. Leather satchel is ideal, or like some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of just like holster, that would work, like a little holster, but motion blur, holster, satchel, something along those lines, and very natural. You're not looking at the camera at all. So street photographer, that's it. There's not a lot of versions for that. That's the shot you need to get. What you're trying to channel here is you're just like a person of the street. You're wandering around. The shot has to be on the street somewhere. Busy, bustling city. So, just fly somewhere like Hong Kong or Beijing or something like that. A lot of hustle and bustle. Tokyo's good. A lot of lights in the background, things like that. Streaming, again, the motion blur can work really well. What you're trying to channel is you travel light. You're just looking, you're shooting from the hip. You're just trying to find stuff. You're just shooting whatever comes across, man. You didn't plan anything that day, but just go out and take street shots. That's it. That's what that needs to read. You don't answer to anybody. Let's move to the wire photographer, like the Associated Press photographer or Reuters, the wire photographer that's out there covering spot news. Now this one, 100%, the first thing is the accessory. You need to have as many name tags and identifications as possible. Just, you might only have one, you might not have any, but just print them up. Like just tags, you should be drowning in tags, like Michael Phelps with all his medals on him, one of those pictures. So just as many tags on as possible. Vest, ideal. Vest is really ideal. Like ridiculous amounts of cameras and gear. The pouch thing, the pouch modular system, like essential. 360 cameras and gear all around you, like one of those modular systems, like just everywhere. Like you can even see you just see like a set of eyes amongst all this camera gear. And the backdrop has to be somewhere like a fire or a protest is better. So if you don't actually do this, just like create a fake protest, but you need to be in the thick of it, never looking at the camera, forget it. Never, very minimal retouching, just like eyeballs and gear and name tags and like modular systems and pouches and stuff like that. That's it. Celebrity photographer, not like you're a celebrity as a photographer, but you photograph celebrities. This one's really easy. Just you standing next to the most famous person you ever photographed. Done. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now let's get into like the extreme photographer, like the Chase Jarvis guy who like photographs all this extreme stuff. Like you should be like rappelling off of a helicopter with your camera, or you're on like an ATV. I'll accept being on a motorcycle, but it should be something like pretty like pretty rugged and pretty off-road. Maybe you're in the back of it, like the back of a motorcycle. Maybe you're driving the motorcycle and you're just shooting with both cameras and no hands on the handlebars. That could work. I'll accept that. But ATVs, helicopters, things like that. You're in action, and there's a bunch of action, dirt, mud, everything. Just like pack it all over you. You should have all this stuff all over you. Just drench yourself in water or dirt. Protective housing on the camera that you're using, 100% need to have that. So you're covered in dirt, your camera's covered in dirt, and some sort of exotic, crazy mode of transportation. And the second version of this, if you're not willing to go to that extreme to cake on all the mud and the dirt, is just the fisheye angle shot. Like get a fisheye angle shot of you, and there's a giant, cool, extreme sports event in the background. That I will also accept that. Okay, there's only a few of these out there, but this is the photography instructor or the person that does a bunch of workshops. There's a lot of those, but / TV personality photographer. So if you've been on TV as a photographer, this one you've got to be like, it needs to be a picture of you on television or you with the whole crew around you while you're working. You know, you don't have to have the camera, you don't have to have cameras on you, but just something that shows you're on TV. And the photography instructor one also plays into that as well. So it's you like either giving a talk to a bunch of people, like you're just kind of like this and they're all looking at you intrigued, or it's you like in a smaller, more intimate setting surrounded by really, really like intrigued, impressionable photographers that are just looking at you like, wow, I'm learning so much right now from this person. So that one's pretty easy. You can just rent some extras to just stand around you and just sort of, they don't actually have to nod, just pretend they're nodding. Something along those lines. The version for the TV personality photographer is you being interviewed by another television crew, like, and you're just like, oh, this again, like that's a great shot to have. Like, so a TV crew or a journalist is doing an interview about you, and then your bio picture is like taken from the side where you're just kind of like, or you might even look at the camera like, I don't know, like, hey, this is happening, sorry, I hate this. You're narcissistic, but you don't want that to show. You need to be sort of natural, like, oh, this is crazy, I wish I wasn't here. You do want to be there, but you can't show that in the picture. You need to be like, I'd rather be taking pictures, but really you'd rather be being interviewed about taking pictures. So that's important to make sure that comes through. Sports photographer, you've got a few options here, so don't worry. Sports photographer, your best action shot. The bigger the event, the better. So like Super Bowl, World Series, something like that, NBA Finals, the Olympics, huge, like that's your number one. Your second option would just be you with the most famous athlete, like the celebrity photographer. Just you with next to either pose, like you know this athlete, or you could even try to get like a cardboard cutout of that person, just try to pretend, but you with the most famous athlete that you've ever photographed or didn't photograph is acceptable for this one. Okay, that's all for today. There's many other ones I want to do. I think I've got some in mind that I want to do for version 2, but I want to make sure like I didn't offend too many people here. I am just joking about setting up these shots, and I am joking about actually having these as your bio pictures, but if you do go online, you will see most people do have a version of this. So anyway, I was in a goofy mood today. I had a bunch of coffee, I had fun with it. And I was filming in a different area, so I felt a different vibe. I hope you enjoyed this. Please share if you liked it. Comment if you like it. Share your funniest bio picture, the one that you've actually used. Share, like, subscribe. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.